Just waiting on the thumbs up from the tech team. All right. Well, welcome everyone to the Toontown Rewritten Q&A panel. I hope that you all have, this is exciting stuff. Hope that you all got plenty of sleep last night. I know we had that late night panel with the TTO devs, and if you missed it, that recording's on the GalaxyCon YouTube channel, so be sure to check it out. But we're here today to answer any and all questions you have about Toontown Rewritten. We're going to be fielding questions from the audience here, and we'll explain how to do that shortly, as well as some questions that have been sent in on social media. And if you have more questions to send in, any folks who are watching online at home, you can use hashtag ToonFest. Oh, you can send it in on the live stream chat, actually. You don't even have to use a hashtag. Just send it in on the live stream chat, and we will be on the lookout for those questions. But before we start with questions, let's go ahead and introduce our panelists here. We'll start on the end.
Hi, everyone. I'm Rush. I'm programming lead for Toontown Rewritten.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ellie. I'm a brand artist for Toontown Rewritten, and I am the art director for ToonFest.
Hi, everyone. I am Joey. I'm the creative director of Toontown Rewritten.
Hi, can you hear me? Oh, there we go. Hi, I'm Lindsay. I am the main producer for the Clear Coasts Playground.
Hi, my name is Ro. I'm the lead producer for Toontown Rewritten and the project producer for Under New Management.
All right, so if you have questions for us, you can very calmly walk up to the center microphone and start a single file line. And we have until 12:30 here today, so we're going to get through as many questions as possible. And every once in a while, Danny will be asking some of our online questions as well. So first, it looks like we've got a question from the wonderful Riggy Marole up here.
Big fan.
As you come up, why don't you tell us either your name or toon name, and then ask whatever question you'd like. And we'd just like to ask one question per person to make sure everyone can get through.
All right, well, my name's Ellen, a.k.a. Princess Hula Gadget. Right now, I'm Riggy Marole, of course. And my question for all of you is, what's the best, give me a good Toontown hot take of yours.
Ellie sounds like she's got one.
Mine is that Jungle Vines is the worst trolley game.
Sound deserves to have been nerfed.
I guess mine is, I think the Subbot and Cashbot crash stuff should be repeated, honestly.
Hell yeah! Heck yeah!
Ro, was that really a hot take? I feel like you're just fishing for the applause on that one.
That's not really a hot take. I think we all agree with that one.
What about you, Lindsay?
I think for me, I agree with the Jungle Vine, actually. That was probably the first thing I thought of. Or that photo fun is more fun than people think it is sometimes.
I think my hot take is that the skip button should never be in battles. We should never have the skip button back.
Oh.
I know, I'm sorry. I know, but trust me, it would just be sad to have people run away from you as you're dancing. All right. Thanks, Ellen.
Well, thank you. I'll see you later.
Hi. Well, first of all, thank you for having everyone here, being able to answer all the questions for ToonFest. My name is Vanku. I have a question dedicated to Ro. For my question is, what is the most memorable challenge that the team overcome under the development for Under New Management?
I think in one word, change, honestly. Just
Change?
being able to change what people know, but keep it to what people love about Toontown was probably the toughest part of it all.
That's pretty good. Thank you very much. Thank you for all that you do.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I do just want to say, last night, at the Toontown Line developer panel, it was so gratifying to hear comments from, Jesse saying, oh man, Bruce Woodside would be so proud, because Like that was what we were aiming for, and everything that we do, like even as we're going through this giant change with an update, we're trying to make it feel like the original developers are the people who are creating this update, as if they were to continue Toontown. So, yeah, I don't know. For me, that was just such a like heartwarming moment, and yeah, I think like the team that Ro's been producing has done amazing stuff with under new management.
Thank you.
First of all, I just wanted to say thank you for all you do for Toontown and how far this game has come. But hi, I'm Savvy or Derpy. I have a question for all of you. What is your personal favorite Toon species? My personal favorite is crocodile and deer, just because.
Let's see. I guess Rush, do you want to start over here?
I've always had cat tunes, so I have to say cat.
Even though I have a cat toon, my favorite species is the bear, just because I like their cute little ears.
Mine is the cow. I love the cow toon species.
We don't have those.
Yeah. I think that horse is underrated, honestly.
That's a hot take.
I think this is perfect. I think this is perfect because deer. Yeah.
What was that?
It was.
Oh. Yeah,
We've got a deer on Rose.
Toontown deer.
Though specifically, his shirt says, "I hate Toontown deers," so like it's some mixed messaging. But Ro does play a deer tune.
I do. Yeah.
I just love the name puns for the deer and crocodile. I have a deer named Fond of You, so like.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Thank you.
Hi, my true name is Jay Cheesy Marvel. I think I'm just change it up a bit. Can I ask a lore question?
Sure.
So, are the NPCs in the game aware of the existence of other districts? So, like, do they have clones of each other just running around in other districts?
That's an excellent question. So, the districts in Toontown, this has actually been, we've talked about this a number of times internally as we start discussing story. Districts are canon to Toontown. Like, the Toons are aware that there are other districts of the game, but not in the sense that there are clones of themselves in these districts, or even that, like you know, there's only one Goofy's Gag Shop in Toontown Central. It's not like there's a copy for each of them at each of the districts. It's very hand-wavy in terms of what districts actually mean to the Toons. But if you remember, even I think back all the way in like 2013 news, 2014, we mentioned in a Slappy blog post that Slappy grew up in a specific district of Toontown. I forget which one we said it was. So they're definitely aware of districts, and there's different districts of the town that they live in. What that actually means to them, it's not the same as our understanding of it in terms of servers, but they are canon. So make what you will of that. And that's a great question.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. We have a question submitted on Twitter. Oh, my name's Danny, by the way. I'm a community engagement coordinator for Toontown Rewritten. I'm also the marketing director for ToonFest. Hello. Strato's question is, what were the other new neighborhood ideas that were considered before the team decided on Clear Coasts?
That is an excellent question. So normally I direct that to Lindsay, but Lindsay actually wasn't there for our pre-production phase of the project. So I can speak to that a bit. So like we've mentioned in the past, we actually, before we settled on the idea of Clear Coast, we developed 4 separate neighborhood concepts. And actually we had ideas for even more, but we actually spent, I think it was almost 2 months fully developing concept art and ideas for like, what if it was this? And then what if it was this? And then what if it was this? And Clear Coast was one of those 4. Some of them we don't want to mention because we actually might do it in the future. I don't know. But the one that I can mention, and actually this was the one that I was really most excited for, even though I pitched Clear Coast, it was Construction Zone, which was an original Toontown Online playground that never got developed. But the idea of Construction Zone was that it was a playground that was eternally under construction. It was never done. And that sounds very topical, right? Because this playground's been under construction for like, I don't know, 10 years now. And so, you know, we had lots of ideas of like there would be cranes moving stuff around. There'd be lots of platforming where you can jump from sort of like beam to beam. There was an amazing piece of concept art developed for it by, I want to say it was our concept artist, Hannah. Though I might be wrong on that. I'm sure one of the Toontown team people can correct me in the chat. So we will definitely be showing that off one day, all of those different ideas that we developed. And maybe we'll talk about revealing that construction zone one sooner than later, since I think that's one that we're more comfortable talking about in the meantime. But that process was really just about exploring what do we think the best playground to develop for Toontown today is. And Clear Coast was like, by the end, just the clear winner from our team. Like everyone just gravitated towards that idea so much, and we're very excited for you to experience the things we've been cooking up there. So great question, Stratos.
Can I move this up? Hi, my name is Slade, and my toon name is Slade. It's very original. I had a question. So Sean told us about his Easter egg, which I actually went home and figured that out on an archive build of it. Does the Toontown Rewritten team have any plans for Easter eggs, or do they have any already that we might not know about?
Oh, excellent question. Rush, what do you think?
Yeah, there's a lot. I feel like every update I've personally contributed to, I've added at least 2 or 3 Easter eggs. I actually, in the panel, in the dev panel, I specifically begged Lappy to give a hard hat to one of the developers because I wanted them to see the Easter egg in game. If you wear a hard hat to the factory forum in battle, you get a bonus status effect on your toon. It's just a joking one. It doesn't do anything, but it just says, basically, like, if the forum can have hard hats, why can't we? But it doesn't really do much for us.
See, I saw that on Sean while we were up here playing, and I like hovered over it for a second, and I was like, is this a glitch? Like, I didn't even know about that Easter egg, so I quickly moved my cursor away, because I was like, I don't know what this is. I'm just going to ignore it. But there you go.
Sean loves his little squares. I like my little circles.
Yeah, exactly. One of the other Easter eggs that I know was posted on Reddit recently is you can jump into your chimney in a Toon estate. That was something that we added. There's also the train furniture item that you can get from Cartoonival. When you walk up to it, at your estate, it plays a sound and the train kind of goes around the track. But there's a very, very rare chance that the train will become giant and run you over. I don't know, Ro, Lindsay, Ellie, can you all think of any other Easter eggs? I don't know, any brand art Easter eggs?
I mean, in brand art, we like to sneak people's tunes in and try to not make it too obvious. So if you've ever seen any tunes you think you might recognize, it's probably an Easter egg. But one that I thought of immediately was when I first started playing Toontown Rewritten years and years ago. I remember that you could type, my name is Sir Max, all one word in speed chat.
It was like, this is written by Sir Max.
Oh, this is written by Sir Max, yes. And
Yeah.
I remember being like, was that intentional?
Yeah, no, that was me doing, because nowadays we have a whole moderation department who does speed chat updates. But in alpha, like, it was sort of like me and a couple other people that were just adding stuff to the speed chat dictionary. And I think I was just bored one night. It was probably really late, and I just typed in all one word. This was written by Sir Max, and sure enough, you can say it in game.
I don't think that I can share any of mine yet because I only joined recently, and the only thing I've worked on is Clear Coast. So maybe in a future panel, maybe.
But you can say, like, we can expect some Easter eggs in Clear Coast.
I
like.
would say so.
I will make sure of it. Don't worry.
Yeah, we also have a couple more with under new management. Me and programmer Alex definitely got a really fun one with the new disguise system.
All right, thank you. I'll definitely look for those.
Hi, I'm Anthony, and a question I had. So I know we're, we had field offices. They were labeled as sell-by field offices. But my question was, do we plan on seeing any more more field offices with the other COG departments, or will we see new like cog buildings similar to field offices with the other cog departments?
That's an excellent question. So the Cellbot field offices, as well as the Cellbot task force, we definitely designed with the idea that if we want to one day, we could expand it. There could be a CashBot task force. There could be CashBot field offices or BossBot field offices and all that sort of stuff. And certainly it was Disney's original idea that there would be one for each of the cog departments. There was even a full mini game developed for the Lawbot one that many of you I'm sure have seen, which is like the Legal Eagle flying game. And so while we don't have anything in development for it right now and no plans for it, the reception to Cellbot field offices was so amazing that like I would love to be able to do that one day. And now that like a lot of the hard part of creating Cellbot field offices and the Cellbot task force was not really creating what's inside of it, but creating the whole framework of it, like the ability to put a cog building on Toon HQ and that would persist across all districts, and like the locking of the gag tracks and the whole battle GUI update. Like those are the things that took the longest with that update. That's why it took so many years. So I hope we get to do more in the future. If it's something you guys want to see, then we're listening to you. So it's going to be a couple years off, I would say, since we've got our current projects to wrap up. But if it's what you want to see next, then it's something that we'll certainly consider.
All right, thank you.
Hi, I'm Toon Joey. You already know what I do. Thank you. I have two questions. They're both very quick. The first one is, with the addition of Clear Coast, will we be seeing any new SOS cards?
Ooh, great question. I guess, Lindsay, do you want to say anything about that?
Well, I can say that we're a little bit early probably to be doing story and NPCs. We have some that we've thought of across Clear Coasts, but I mean,
yeah,
probably?
I think like there's a good chance I would say that there's some of the new NPCs that we introduced to the streets of Clear Coast could find their way, being trapped into the VP's cage. So something we'll certainly be thinking about as we move forward in development.
My next question is, has the team ever gotten any sort of feedback or other contributions from any of the original team?
Yeah, so a lot of the concept art that you see on the Toontown Preservation Project is from Bruce Woodside, who...
I mean directly in-game stuff.
Oh, sorry, direct in-game,
features, feedback, changes, all that stuff.
Oh, I see. I mean, really not so much. As you all saw last night, some of those features, it was their first time, Jesse, Sean, and Mike's first time seeing things like the silly meter and the beach balls and stuff like that, since they're very busy people. Jesse's running a whole company now. He's a CEO himself, so they unfortunately don't play Toontown too much. But I think one of the things that I have really valued in conversations with Jesse and Sean and everything is they don't feel prideful about Toontown. There's never been a conversation I've had with any of them where they're like, oh, you guys did this? I totally would have done it a different way. They know how much Toontown means to the community, and so they have sort of fully put it into, we're getting some feedback. They've sort of fully put it into your all's hands, and our hands from Toontown Rewritten. They trust us and trust all of the community to take good care of this game. So no, we haven't really gotten any sort of critical feedback. Really, it's just been all praise of how much they love what we're doing.
All right. Thank you, and congrats on UNM.
Thanks.
Speaking of under new management, I've got a question for maybe Ro or Rush. Want to jump in on this one? We have a question from Angry Crafters on the live stream. Will we see more of the supervisors? Perhaps a super battle with all four, or maybe some brand new ones in the future?
Sure.
I
can take it if you want.
Yeah, I mean, we've certainly have considered that, and it's been confirmed by our project director for under new management that we've definitely have played around with seeing how they interact with one another in combat. So I don't want to confirm anything, but it's certainly something we are considering.
Hello, my name is Sebastian. Some of you may know me as Hideo Kojima. My question is regarding some inconsistencies in the designs of the cogs. particularly in brand art. Particularly in brand art, cell bots typically have purple colored suits, while in game they have a browner colored suit. And also, we do have some textures of early cog designs for the downsizer or suit, which has a different head texture, while in game it shares the same one as the bean counter, erroneously. Do you guys have any plans or have had discussions about correcting these?
Well, I have been on the team for 5 years, and our brand style was pretty much set in stone before I even joined the team. In fact, one of our artists, or in fact, one of our art leads, Roger Dog, or Gibby, he is the one who pretty much set in stone our brand style, and that is directly inspired by the original Toontown Online art and sort of like the Looney Tunes style art. We did do a brand redesign around 2017 where we sort of kind of updated everything, but our brand style has been set in stone for so long that in fact, there are other inconsistencies, such as if you've ever noticed the Toons only have 2 lines on their gloves in brand art, whereas in-game they have 3 lines on their gloves. There's just inconsistencies that we've just felt it's been part of our style for so long that it's hard to get a whole group of people to change it collectively and kind of all be on the same page. And you would be surprised how many people in the community notice those tiny things and start saying like, oh my gosh, they changed that, they changed it. And it's just hard to get it consistent. It's just been set in stone for so long. In regards to the colors, yeah, wasn't a lot of the original artwork for like Cellbots and stuff, they had like purple.
Yeah,
plaid.
for Toontown Online, they would often use in their own brand art, like the purple suits. And so I think that's where ours, I think that's what Roger kind of pulled from.
A lot of ours was directly inspired from the original Toontown Online brand art. But we have definitely talked about changing things. I know Joey has been like, we should add that 3rd line on the gloves, but there's been some pushback being like, no, that's our style, we have 2 lines. So, but we have definitely talked about doing another brand kind of redesign and updating some of those things in the future,
Yeah, I think like overall, like our brand art is a stylization of what's in game. It's not necessarily meant to reflect the exact version of what's in game, and that's very much inspired from the 2010 Toontown Online website redesign, where they had, again, like very stylized versions of the characters that brought a lot more life than what you could get out of the models in the game. So in terms of like whether Cellbots in-game will ever have purple suits or whether the downsizer head will ever be replaced, I mean, you never know. It's something that we talk about every once in a while, but there's always something else that feels like a higher priority. And so maybe it'll happen. I mean, it's certainly something being talked about as part of Toontown Remastered if we want to correct any of those little things as we update the stylization in-game, and it's something we'll consider.
Excellent, thank you. Hi, I'm Darth. My Toon's name is Happy. Have you ever thought about a way that Elections/Doomsday can return in some format for all players to experience?
Yes, we have thought a lot about that. And I think it comes down to the elections were developed for a server of about 100 people. And now we have a server of thousands of people. And so it wouldn't be possible to take the same sort of structure that we had back then in 2013, which was held together by like duct tape and glue sticks, and put it on our server today without it completely crashing. But we did do a little bit of a slight update for it for us internally. We a couple years ago, we did a live stream where we kind of revisited the elections, and we did some minor updates for that. And so again, it's one of those things where, especially now that we're 10 years away from it, I would love to find a way to bring it back in game, or at least something like it. And actually, Kaboomberg, as part of our Cellbot Task Force expansion, that was a way to kind of bring back that idea of the cogs have invaded a playground, but in a new way that was like continuing the Toontown story rather than like revisiting something from the past. But I mean, it's crazy to think that like people are nostalgic for that now. It's something that really blows my mind. And so, I don't know, maybe one day that we will be able to do something with it.
Thank you.
So speaking of the game 10 years ago, we have a question from Twitter from Ben. When developing TTR 10 years ago, where did you see it going? Has it met expectations, exceeded them, or has it fallen short?
Well, so I could speak to the 10 years ago, and I can do that, but I do want to point to some of our other panelists. Like, in the time since you guys have come onto the team, rather than 10 years ago, what do you think about that question in terms of how TTR has come and where you see it going?
It's hard. We've done so many great things. Like, we've done field offices, we've done under new management, we've done a lot of like small updates in between. Like, even benches are just a huge addition to the game that feel like it makes the game feel very lived in. I wish we could do more in terms of more quality life updates, because I keep reading feedback online, like from Reddit, from the hub feedback channel, of all these like little things that we could do that we could add in, but they just take so much dev time away from other bigger projects that we can't get every single one of them done. So I wish we could do more like little things, but I'm still really happy with how far we've come.
Anyone else have a thought about that one?
I mean, if I can spin the question to talk about art, I mean, even if I look at our art from when I joined the team 5 years ago, like back then we were like, this is amazing, this is stellar, like, which it was. But even 5 years later, like, it's incredible to see what we do now 5 years later. Like, even some of the same artists that were here 5-6 years ago, like, we are continually evolving, and it's amazing to see how far we have come in 5 years. I thought back what we did back then was incredible, but now it's just like completely exceeds my expectations.
Yeah, and then so like thinking back to when we first started Toontown Rewritten, something that I was very strongly advocating for in the early days was the idea that this wasn't just going to be another private server, because like at the time, back in 2013, like private servers were almost had a little bit of a negative stigma attached to them in that like they were usually very unmoderated. It was just like, a group of fans would bring something online, but it was like so they could mess around, hack the game. It'd be sort of a no man's land, and like it didn't really feel like the same game anymore. It just felt like someone's playground that they can play in that game. And when we started working on Toontown Rewritten and we realized, the reality of Toontown Online shutting down and the fact that we wanted this to continue for people for as long as possible, we had to put lots of time and effort and thought into how do we, honestly similar to what the Toontown Online developers were thinking when the game started, like how do we make sure that this game lasts 20 years into the future? What can we do to make sure that we aren't going to get a cease and desist from Disney and like have to shut down after a month? And so that was, of course, things like the fact that we don't collect donations, we don't run ads, we don't take money from any of you. And we have a 24/7 moderation team that keeps the game as family friendly as possible. But even more so, it was investigating very deeply into what makes Toontown special and what is it about the original design, so that we don't just like bring this game back online and then leave it to collect dust, but we continue developing it as if it never closed, so that if at any point Disney looks at it and starts to think like, should we be allowing this to happen, they'll see Toontown as something that is increasing in quality and value and actually being more of a benefit to them in terms of like creating new Disney fans and refreshing this IP that they have, rather than something that's decreasing the value of it because it's the no man's land of like other private servers. Speaking not even about Toontown private servers, but like other games back then. And so I am incredibly proud of the team that we have and how far we've come in those 10 years to be able to fully realize that vision. We were reminiscing as we set up for ToonFest that I do want to ask, anyone in the audience here, were you here in 2015 for ToonFest? We got a couple hands who were here for ToonFest 2015. Yeah, awesome. I'm so glad you're still here. And do you guys remember how wimpy it was? Like it was a table smaller than this table we're sitting in front of right now that just had a single banner on the front of it. We had no laptops for people to play the game. We just had some trading cards that we were passing out, and we were in a hallway. And it was like the smallest little thing. And to be able to see now, like all these years later, almost 10 years from our first ToonFest, where we have a 3,000 square foot booth that feels like you're entering Toontown as you walk into it, and like hundreds of people out here who have come to see it. I don't know, it really does make me emotional to think about how far we've been able to come and just how much this game means to people. So it's a very long-winded way of saying that I feel like we have been able to fulfill what we originally sought out to do with Toontown Rewritten, and we just want to keep pushing it further and further now.
Right. Hello, my name is Martin, or I also go by Midnight the Yellow Pig. That segues good into my question. So regardless of how rewarding it must be to work on the game, volunteering for a free game for so many years could be probably take a big toll on many of you, or in many different ways. So how do you either personally or as a team ensure that you avoid or prevent burnout?
That's a really excellent question. I'll pass it to our producers first, because they're the ones who make sure that we aren't working too hard.
Yeah, it's honestly just about like communication, just with everyone on our team, to just check up on everyone, making sure they're okay. And even as early as like the onboarding process, we just like make sure like if they're able to do it, and we just like slowly ease them in to see what they're comfortable with time-wise, and just, work with that.
Yeah, we have people check in and say, I've got finals coming up, or, I'm going to be less available. And that affects on a production level and also director level, how many tasks we ask them to get done, or how fast we can expect something to get done, so we're not over anticipating what is reasonable. So just trying to kind of keep everything at a level where we're making progress, but nobody feels like it's all on them, or they're not going to have support if something comes up in their life that they need to take a break or something.
And I think, especially as somebody who, I'm now the art director for ToonFest, and I just try to make sure that all of the artists know that there is not ever a piece of art that is more important than their own mental health and their own well-being. So if they feel like they can't finish it, there's always another artist. There's always another day that they can finish it. And as much as we are a team that works together, we are also a family. We do team game nights. We, after ToonFest last year, we sat in a Discord call until the middle of the night watching all 4 Toy Story movies together. So we are not just cogs that work all day. We work together. We play together. We all take care of each other. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you for that question. We really do appreciate you thinking about us.
Hello, my name's Guy. My 2 names is Guy. So I have a question I hope can be answered. So when Toontown Online closed and the plan was made to open Toontown Rewritten, was there a process or conversation that had to be made with Disney? If so, what was that?
Yeah, that's a really excellent question. So we have never had any official communication with Disney. We've never had an email exchange with someone with an @disney.com email address or anything like that. And so truly, I mean, Disney still owns the rights to the Toontown IP. They still have Toontown in their parks and everything. And sort of tying into what I was talking about earlier, our goal when we were starting Toontown Rewritten was how can we do a fan project in an ethical way, so that, like, with the idea that this is still Disney's property, we don't want to profit off of it, we don't want to steal anyone's work, we don't want to do anything that hurts Disney more than helps them. And really, the goal is just that they made an awesome game, and we want people to be able to continue playing that game for as long as possible. And so there were never any sort of official conversations. At most, we've just talked to folks who used to work at Disney, like the former Toontown Online developers, who have just sort of given their blessing and cheered us on and encouraged us that, like, we're doing it the right way. I do look at things like just this year, there was City of Heroes. I don't know how many of you folks heard about that, but yeah, a couple City of Heroes fans in the audience. That was an online MMO that shut down and was similarly brought back to life by fans like Toontown. And the original developers of City of Heroes, NCSoft, actually gave them an official license to be able to continue using the fan-made version of the game as long as they, exist within a certain set of parameters. And I think, like, that's kind of what we've done in an unofficial way with Toontown Rewritten, is we've given ourselves these set of parameters that we think is necessary to maintain a good relationship with Disney, even though it's a very one-sided relationship.
And is that why the characters were left out of the playground?
Exactly. So our stance on the classic characters like Mickey, Donald, Goofy, and all that is we didn't want to touch them at all. So like in terms of if it would take effort to add them back to the game, where like the characters walking around, that would require server-side code that we would need to write and everything. We didn't want to do that, but we also didn't want to remove them from the game in places that it would take effort to do. Like we really just wanted to bring the least amount of attention to them possible, because we knew if we removed them entirely, if we renamed the playground names and all that, lots of people would be upset. It would be talked about even still today if we did it 10 years ago, and people would be like, ah man, like I really wish it was still called Donald Stock and all that kind of stuff. And so we were like, okay, well, like we'll keep that, but like let it fade into the background. Let it just become a typical part of Toontown where like you don't really think about Donald very much, but his name's still on the playground, and it's worked out for us so far. But certainly if there was ever a situation where Disney asked us to remove those or anything, then we would do that.
Because they just recently redid the Toontown
I know.
in Disneyland.
I was nervous when they refurbished Toontown in Disneyland, because it was like, oh, they haven't touched Toontown so long. Like I thought maybe they would tear it down or replace it with a Galaxy's Edge expansion or something. So I was very happy when they refurbished Toontown. It looks amazing, but I was like, oh man, like they're doing something with Toontown again. Like, is it just a matter of time before we get that email? But we didn't, and when we still haven't. We don't take for granted how lucky we are to be able to do things like this and to be able to, like, every single day still have Toontown to log into, because, it truly could end at any point, but we are doing our best in everything that we do to be as intentional as possible about making the game spectacular and making it ethical and building a relationship with Disney where they can trust that this is in good hands and that it's just a passion project for the community.
All right, thank you.
So I have another Twitter question for all 5 of you. This is from Sir Kooky. What is the one thing you love most about Toontown?
I think my favorite thing is, honestly, as cheesy as it is like watching the community. I mean, I think that was apparent with just like the UNM's portion of the panel, and just thanking all of you guys for like all of your reactions, your videos, your arts, and just like we even do parties where we like watch like you guys, the community, like solve our ARGs or like watch and react to our videos, and it's just so entertaining to watch.
Yeah, for me, it's about how it brings old friends together as well as new ones. I found out on Friday that an old roommate of mine at the time was playing Toontown, never mentioned it to me. This was years ago, and now he's like, you're with Toontown? I saw you with Flunky. And I was like, yeah, yeah, I'm here. So now we're chatting on Instagram again, and it's been years since I've seen him. So, it just brings everybody together.
Yeah, similar for me. Like my favorite thing about Toontown is the way it brings people together, especially like families or new friends and everything. And that's really been our goal with ToonFest, is for all of you this weekend to walk away with new friends or stronger connections to the people that you came here with. There were some people that we met yesterday. I don't know if they're in the audience here, but they have 4 generations of their family all playing Toontown, from I think like 13 to like 75 or something like that. And they were all here at ToonFest and like color coordinated outfits and everything, and it, like to be able to see like the great grandmother, their daughter, their grandkid, their great grandkids all playing Toontown together, like man, it's just such a special experience to see.
Yeah, for me, I feel like Toontown was the first place I ever felt I truly belonged. And I feel like a lot of people can relate. I went through, middle school and part of, elementary school feeling like I'd never fit in. And then when I joined the community, it was the first time that it ever really clicked. I felt like this is where I'm meant to be. And when people come up to me and say, I love your artwork, you inspired me to start drawing, like that just touches my heart more than anything. It makes me emotional to even talk about.
For me, I'm more on like the technical side, so I I think more about the game. I love how the game itself has teamwork kind of built into its DNA, as the devs kind of mentioned at the Q&A, at the dev panel. It just kind of shows itself in that every single element of it requires you to kind of make friends, like make teams, and just kind of work together to get to a common goal. And it just shows in the community that we've built as a result of that from 20 years of teamwork.
My name is Christopher, and my two names is Titanium, and I have a question. What was your favorite major update you guys developed on, like the field offices, under new management, etc.?
Ooh, great question. Rush, do you want to start?
Probably under new management. I work on it because I like working on it, so I definitely enjoyed helping like design the supervisors, helping implement all of the, crazy special moves that they have. I remember me and Matt were spending many hours just going back and forth, trying to figure out the design, trying to figure out what's fun, what plays well, and then actually like spending even more hours implementing all of it. I had a blast doing it.
Am I allowed to say ToonFest?
Yeah.
Well, ToonFest. But if I have to pick an in-game one, I would probably say the field offices. Because I don't work in development, I am I would say most of the time blind to things that are going on. I'm so focused on art, the out-of-game art most of the time that I don't get, I just don't have the time to keep up with a lot of the updates that go on inside of the game. So when I first saw like the update go out and people play it, I was just I was like, our team did that? I was blown away. I think it's our best update.
It's so hard to choose because it's like choosing your favorite child or something. I love all of our updates, but I will say one of my favorite recent ones that we did was the Cartoonival Cavalcade, because I'm a big Disney Parks fan, and so like we were very much inspired by like Disney parades and all of that, and we wanted to bring that to in game to Toontown. And actually, it was also fun to see last night as the developers were talking about the beach balls. That's another one of my favorite like little things that we've done, and just like hearing Jesse talk about like how did you guys even like do the physics of all that. It's like, yeah, like even something small like that takes a lot of effort, and like everything that we do for Toontown we try and pour so much love into.
I don't think I'm allowed to say anything except Clear Coasts, because that's the only one I've worked on. But I will say, like, I do agree about Cartoonival, and I do want to give a shout out to our producer Maki, who couldn't be here, because he really made that happen. Like, everybody did, but like he came in and he really like helped everybody get on track and make sure everything was getting done on time, because that had a hard deadline. We had to get that done on time, and so that's something that is a little bit different from the way Clear Coast works, where we do have a little bit of a more flexible timeline, right? We can explore things a bit more. So anything with a hard deadline is very impressive to me, like ToonFest too,
Yeah, I would say under new management, and specifically like the cinematics and the trailers, just is always a blast to work on. But yeah, Toontown Remastered is something I'm pretty excited about.
Awesome, thank you.
Hello, my toon name is Quake. My question is there any chance we're going to get new kart racing tracks or other uses for our karts?
Ooh, great question. I wouldn't say no, not anytime soon, but similarly, it's like one of those things that I believe it did actually come up as we were exploring what we were going to work on next. So after Field Offices, we did a big thing. It was a project code named Looking Glass, and we had this list of almost like 20 different projects that we could work on, and we ranked them like according to like how much does the team care about this project, how much do we think the community cares about this project, how much do we think this is a good impact for Toontown as like the next thing that we work on following Field Offices. And I think racing tracks was one of the things on that list, and so similar, like it's one of those things where if you guys want that as a community, we're always listening, and we'll always consider it as our next project.
If you do add some, make sure to add some interesting wall rides.
Will do.
Hi, is this good?
Yeah.
My toon name is Lime. So I had more of a question about like stuff about ToonFest. Were there any plans to maybe upload stuff like the coloring pages online or pictures of all the props, signs, stuff, things like that. It's all amazing. I love all of it. Thank you for all of it. But I'd love to see if it could be extended to people at home and have maybe a record of older ToonFests in the future.
Yeah, that's a great question. I guess, Ellie, do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, we would love to upload specifically the coloring pages for you guys to be able to download and do yourselves. Also, if you guys have noticed, there's a couple new coloring pages this year that we did full illustrations of. Like, there's a couple of Toons golfing and things like that. We were actually thinking about making those into wallpapers, if you guys would be interested in having those as, like, full rendered wallpapers. As we work on ToonFest, it is, from the art side, it is so hard to not be able to share these things with you guys, because we've been working on ToonFest for around eight or so.
I mean, really, it's since last ToonFest ended, in a
Yeah,
way.
it's been about 8 or 9 months that we've been working on this ToonFest. So imagine having to keep something that you worked so hard on a secret for 9 months. It's really hard. But if you guys are interested in that, I would. Like, we did a blog post last year where we highlighted kind of all of our merch and things like that. If you guys would like that stuff to be uploaded to blog posts or the website and things where you guys can access that more easily at home, I would love to do that for you guys. Yeah.
Thank you.
That's great. Thank you.
Of course.
How you doing? My name's Will. I guess the question I have from the old TTO game, I was never a part of this list, but I mean, you guys have so many projects going on right now, you're doing a great job on all of them. I guess my question is there a possibility that in the future there could be something on the TTR website with top tunes, daily top tunes, or something along that line?
Oh, yeah, that is a great question. Rush, do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, so we recently redid the back end for the website. It was such an old website that we couldn't really add too many crazy new features to it. Like, we could add like a page or two, but not too much. With the new website, one of the things that we were thinking about doing was implementing some sort of top tunes. So that, I don't have a timeline for it, but at some point soon, hopefully we can get something like that set up. I'd love to have that for sure.
Thank you all.
So my name is John, Toontown name Waldo. I was 4 at the time. I was wondering if any of you guys could donate me a full moonfish. It's been evading me for about 6 years.
Hey, did you play Fish Bingo this morning? I think there might be one in there.
But yeah, my actual question, I mean, now with the completion of these projects here pretty soon, I mean, could there be other events like the Storm Stylebot Crash Cashbot on the horizon? And how would you go about simplifying those more advanced bosses for like the lower left tunes?
That's a really great question. Anyone up here want to take that one? Or you want me to? All right, Rush might have something.
Yeah, we have some ideas for a Lawbot event because we've been kind of like bouncing around some ideas in the back of our minds. I don't know about how to simplify the boss down, but some of the ideas are still kind of like bouncing around for that. Again, no timelines, but.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things similar to the field offices for other headquarters. Like, more of those operation style events is something that is always on our list of like, oh, maybe we should do that soon. And similarly, bringing back the old ones is like, oh yeah, we know people want that, and we have to do, like, it's not just as simple as turning it on, because we'd have to do work to make it a repeatable event, since they were designed to be kind of one-time things. We were a little short-sighted at the time and didn't think about how popular they would become. So yes, it's one of those things that we absolutely want to do. I will say personally, I have always been a big fan of, I'm trying to think of how much I can say here. I really like the idea, don't hold me to this, of flooding Lawbot headquarters so that it's totally underwater and you can swim around in there. And maybe the ice in the berg started to melt and it swept into there. So I don't know if that's what we're gonna do. I don't know if there's any people on the team who are like, oh, Joe, I wish you didn't say that. But
I wish you didn't say that.
But that's one of the things that we've thought about, and we would love to do an event like that in the future.
Am I allowed to say something that we talked about like years ago?
Do you think we're still gonna do it?
I don't know.
All right, go ahead.
There was a period, I think in around ToonFest 2019, where we talked about a Lawbot event, and there was we briefly threw around an idea of turning Lawbot headquarters into a carnival.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Into like an amusement park with like a roller coaster. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do like cog style carnival music. Yeah.
Yeah, so again, don't hold us to it, but we have
Yeah.
lots of ideas.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Hi, my name's Tinker. I made a little notepad. So my question was, do you plan to expand on the Toon Estates? And my reasoning behind this is with the addition of Clear Coast, it's clear that the team wants to make more intricate hangout spots for those of us that like chatting, relaxing, so on and so forth. And I say also because the estate's something that we visit so often, but we pay so little mind to because of the lack of content, so.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. So I'll say we don't have plans at the moment to do anything more with estates, but I will point this to Lindsay because Lindsay, you've had a lot of experience working on the activities, the sort of social features for Clear Coast.
Yeah,
What do you think for
well,
estates?
because we have the water features in the estates, then you should be able to take your floaties, which we talked about yesterday, over to your estates to hang out. I think that a lot of the ideas that we have might be translatable. It just depends on which actually get produced, because there's some that are like, oh, we're still testing to see if they're actually fun before we like fully develop them and put them into the game or anything. But yeah, I think at least the floaties for sure.
Yeah. Great question. Thank you.
Hi, my Toon's name is Cutebug. First, I just wanted to say thank you all for all the hard work you put into this game. It means the world to us that our favorite childhood game is not only still alive, but thriving and continuing to expand in something we never could have imagined, so thank you.
Thank you.
And I know this is a common request, but what are y'all's thoughts on implementing a chat log?
Oh yeah, chat log. That is something we talk about a lot. It's another one of those things. It's like, oh, we always could work on that. Yes, I think it's safe to say that we want a chat log in the game, but we want to make sure we do it in the right way. I guess, Rush, do you want to speak to some of that? I know you've thought about this a lot.
So one of the kind of like core issues with just add the chat log is that the original TTO devs had a lot of design notes about why they didn't add a chat log. They kind of didn't want it to be something that takes you out of the game and kind of like be a separate interface that doesn't really like, you're like looking at your phone basically when somebody's talking to you, you know? It's kind of weird to be like, wait, what did that person all the way in the back say? Like, let me check my, it's kind of like weird, takes you out of it a bit. So a lot of the design kind of goes around how can we still add a chat log to help people, catch up on previous conversations and be more of like a chat history or like a chat transcript than like an actual.
Yeah. It's like we want it to be something you could reference when it's like, oh, what did that person say? I missed it, but not something that you use as your primary way of communicating because we like the sort of face-to-face interaction, and that's like what the Toontown Online developers were really striving for. And like you said, like we don't want it to be like everyone is now just looking at this little window in the corner of their screen rather than looking at each other as they're communicating.
Yeah, and then the other issue with it is that we need to take a lot of time out of our like existing projects to like find ways to like schedule this all out. It's going to take months to get it just right.
Yeah.
So it's hard to find that time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi guys, I'm talking on behalf of Jeremy. His Toontown name is Moneyman. And Jeremy would like to ask, will the purple and the blue shirt, when will that be available on the website for GAG for gear?
Oh, the purple and blue shirt. Do you want to speak to that, Allie? Do you know what they're referring to? Like our shirts. So we have our Toontown Rewritten shirts and our the purple ToonFest shirt. Is that what you mean? Gotcha. Yeah. So we don't have plans at the moment to release either of those shirts. However, I will say that the purple shirts will be available as prizes for the Toonies right here at ToonFest. So I know that. Jeremy, I got to see your costume earlier, and I see lots of people in the audience here with costumes. One of the prizes you may be able to win is our purple ToonFest shirt from last year.
Or if you participate in Funny Feud or the racing tournament,
Yes.
which Funny Feud is today and the racing tournament tomorrow, you will be eligible to win one of the purple birthday bash shirts from last year. We currently don't have any plans to release the blue shirts, but we definitely like to give them out as prizes when we can, just so for a special little thing for you guys. Yeah.
I will say, because you mentioned Gags and Gears for Good, that's one of the things that we are considering if we were to move forward with that project. Is certainly, we know people want Toontown t-shirts. We have lots of people wearing the Rewrite 10 shirts from the Toon Enough Pass. So absolutely something we're going to consider. Yeah, thank you.
My name is Jenny, and my question is, with the new Clear Coast Park, are we looking at maybe getting new doodles along with that?
Sorry, Danny, real quick. I think we could take like maybe the last 3 people who are up there, and then I think we can cut off the line. But sorry, you said doodles for Clear Coast. I guess Lindsay, do you want to?
Yeah, I mean, we haven't specifically discussed it, but I will say we're pretty early in a lot of the stages of development. You know, we haven't figured out a lot of the storyline yet. We haven't even figured out some of the like shops and NPCs yet. So I don't know that it's impossible, but I don't think we've discussed it too much, or I haven't heard it if we have. So
Yeah. I think it's one of those things that again, like doodles always comes up. Like, how could we do something more with them? So it's a possibility, but not something that we're actively exploring.
Awesome, thank you.
now I want a doodle floaty.
I know. Maybe we should consider a doodle floaty.
Hi, I'm Blake, or my 2 names Twisted Twilight. I had the Disney joke last night, to those who were there. So my question for all of y'all is, of all the students, like, as we all go VP, we see like the Tune the Cage, oh, if it's good or it's not. In you guys' opinion, what is the most underrated SOS?
Ooh. What do y'all think?
Easy question. Stinky Ned.
First one that came to mind was maybe Melody Waivers. It's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same as Rush. That one I think doesn't get enough hype.
I don't know if mine will count, but Loopy Loop and Loop is pretty great.
I really like, so the SOS tunes for the original field offices, we did include them as SOS tunes, but we did include them as the resistance rangers that you encounter in new field offices. So not quite exactly addressing your question, but they have always been some of my favorites.
Right. I'll argue for Clumsy Ned any day, though.
Yeah, nice. Yeah.
My name is Philip, also known as Banjo Pickle Noodle.
That is an excellent tune name.
Do you think y'all ever had funny farms?
Oh, a great question. So, Funny Farms, the idea of like, so you're thinking like the black and white playground, right? Or are you thinking just a farm-themed playground? Yeah. So that was one of the things that we were considering, again, like in our, even before we got to the 4 playground pitches that we narrowed it down to, one of the ones on our list was a black and white playground. Should we do that idea that the original developers had of it? So will we do it one day? Like, I would love to. I think that it's an awesome idea, and I hope we get to do it one day. We aren't working on it right now, but I don't know, it might be something for Toontown Rewritten in the future. Thank you so much for that question.
Hello, my name is David. You might know me better as Barker Wondersnout / Rolling Crocodile. I had a couple questions in mind, but since we're short on time, I'll ask you one. This might be kind of a silly one, but are we all silly?
Well said, well said.
What's been your favorite April Tunes Week gag?
Oh, that's a great question. What do you all think? I can say quickly, I mean, mine was the Sir Max invasion, of course. I can't remember whose idea that was. It wasn't mine, because I don't have that much of an ego or anything. But it was a very fun event to see like a bunch of my tunes suddenly running around the game.
Yeah, I think my favorite is probably just the April Tunes like patch notes that you see on the blog. Like August, one of our writers just goes to town and just writes them all. And one of them we wanted to do for April Tunes was the whole 18 right before we removed the back 9s, but we didn't.
My personal favorite, speaking of Easter eggs from an earlier question, for the fluffy task line, there's a really rare chance that when you open up your Toontask scroll, Fluffy will do an animation where he'll like dig out and then jump out of the frame. And then when you come back, he has a chance to be missing. So that when you try to like take a screenshot, you're like, look, he's missing, but then he'll sometimes come back randomly later. So like it's to try to throw off people from sharing it with friends and be like, he's gone from my Toon task, it's a bug. But that's a real thing in game, but it only happens during April Toons.
I mean, I know this is just generic April Toons, but I personally love that everybody has their random cheesy effects. I just love logging on and like having a little head, and I'm just like, okay, this is what's happening now. Yeah.
Yeah, I do also want to shout out all of our creative writers because I think that they really make it a special time. So anything that they add into the game, I always am very proud of anything that our creative writers get to do, because I think a lot of the things you do see, but you sometimes don't register what's going on behind the scenes and how much work goes into it. So just big ups to them.
Yeah, major props to the creative writers. We really treat April Toons Week like Christmas morning in Toontown, because it's like you can do anything in Toontown, so let's do anything. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my Toon's name is Duck Pond, and my question is Slappy dead?
Wow. That is a hard-hitting question, isn't it? He's not dead. He went sad, but he's not dead. As far as we know, so the Toon Resistance, as well as Dr. Surly, have been searching for Slappy for years and years and picking up every clue that they can find to his whereabouts. All that they know is that he was transported to a faraway place called Cog Nation, which the Toon Resistance is still trying to find the location of. But as far as we can tell, he is still being kept there, and the Cogs have essentially have him wrapped up in red tape, literally, in that they are deciding what to do with him, and all of the paperwork just keeps taking years and years and years to figure out. So at the very least, he's safe because the Cogs have a very inefficient office. So there you go. But he is alive.
They need a producer.
And I think we have time for one last question, so I hope you don't mind. I wanted to ask a question for myself that I've been wondering all of ToonFest. What's this year's poster design?
Oh, do you guys want to see the poster for this year? All right. Well, I'm happy to present the 2024 ToonFest poster under new management.
So everyone in this panel room today will be walking out with a brand new under new management poster.
And I would just very quickly like to shout out almost every brand artist on the team worked on this poster, and they did a fabulous job. So let's get a round of applause for the brand artists.
All right, everyone. Well, that brings us to the end of this panel. Thank you all so much for being here, and we will be back later to talk about backstage under new management. Have a great ToonFest.
I also just realized you're wearing the ToonFest accessories.
I mean, basically, yeah.
That's awesome.
Also, want to give a big shout out to the adult Toontown addicts who helped put on this panel. Thank you, adult Toontown addicts.